Hello, ladies and gentle lads. We're going over Homebrewing and my latest release, Soulmancer Wizard Arcane Tradition, on Luke's Homebrew. So, to start us off today, I wanted to firstly go over why we homebrew. For 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons specifically, I haven't played any other formats of tabletop gaming, but as a new player that's been playing and GMing for the past 2 years, I can say homebrewing is an outlet that allows me to be creative with the game. Not necessarily that, but learn how to play the game, understand the rules better, and be able to make on-the-fly decisions and more along the lines of the rules better because I understand the intention of why things were made, and really then once you understand how to make and manipulate the rules, A, you're just a better dungeon master. But 2, yeah, A's, B's, 1s, 2, yeah, whatever. It allows you to then be able to create side content, not necessarily only for you to create more monsters and things to manipulate on your side of the GM screen, but it allows you to make classes, races, for your players to enjoy as well. So, for example, I pulled up my newest release, the Soulmancer Wizard Arcane Tradition for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So, I'll read the intro and kind of go along with my thought process as we go down the class. Overall, I created this class to kind of preface this as a tribute to my brother's necromancer, Jebedo, formerly Clan Fiddlefen, and his soul ended up getting ripped out by Vecna, but we were planning on transferring his character to this homebrew subclass because it was more along the lines of what he was envisioning his character acting as and really what he was role-playing more towards rather than just being a necromancer per se. So, start us off. Akin to the necromancer, you manipulate the forces of life and death through the magical prowess that has secretly been passed down from master to apprentice since the days of old. Your focus is not on creating servants to follow your every whim, but instead to crack the code of what separates the meat puppets necromancers covet so much, and the person that pilots such vessels. Dangerous work it is to follow this tradition, yet the greatest rewards demand the harshest requirements. When using this form of magic, it pays to be in the fray. Pick spells that will enable you to more easily take advantage of both a cluttered battlefield and the inevitable souls you will harvest. So, I preface the class with this to really give a bit of flavor and get anyone interested in reading farther into it and really know what the class is about. But I think the most important lines in that whole paragraph are what are at the end. When using this form of magic, it pays to be in the fray. If you're making homebrew content, even for your players, but more so if you're going to publish it, like this is on DM's Guild, it's good to kind of give small bits of advice and say, hey, if you're playing this, both for DMs and players, this is what you should expect to happen. Not saying that's the only course of play, because there are certainly different play styles. But when I made this class and envisioned it playing out, that's how I pictured it. And we'll get into that more as we go into the abilities you level up. So, pick spells that will more easily let you take advantage of a cluttered battlefield, so that would be Fireball, Lightning Bolt, any really area of effect spell once you can. Otherwise, single target spells until then are fairly good. And last little bit of a line, and probably the more clever of you listening will definitely catch on, it's the inevitable souls that you'll harvest. There is no spell per se that gives you a list or ways to manipulate souls if you happen to capture one or purchase one, or even find one for that matter. But if you work with your DM a little bit, obviously, this is going to be a homebrew channel, but if you homebrew a few things with your dungeon master, then, like, say you cast Summon Greater Demons, or more respectively, Infernal Investiture, you could probably capture a few souls with Soul Jar and end up selling them to a devil. Or later on your 14th level ability, you might be able to pick up a soul, not tamper with it at all, turn around, sell it to a devil. Obviously, it's still dangerous work, and your DM is completely right to kind of turn the table against you. But it is a viable option, and definitely worth looking into. So, moving into our 2nd level ability, Soul Reaper. Beginning at 2nd level, you learned how to tap into fragments of energy stored in a soul as it departs towards the afterlife, granting you brief benefits but not hindering the soul's course. Whenever a creature you can see, excluding constructs or undead, dies within 30 feet of you, you may use your reaction to absorb a jolt of energy, giving you a bonus to your movement speed equal to 5 times your proficiency bonus, and you can move without provoking opportunity attacks until the end of your next turn. Additionally, you can choose to expend 1 wizard hit die. So, short bit of that is, as a soul departs the body, you get a quick jolt. I kind of think of it as like points from Nazi zombies from like Call of Duty. Yeah, I know. So, if you kill someone, they're within 30 feet of you, just simple reaction. You get a little bit of movement speed, and I figured that would help being in the fray as a wizard, and the without provoking opportunity attacks, while could arguably be an overpowered ability, at level 2, you're only getting 10 bonus feet. That's not going to get you too much farther, especially if they have ranged attacks, and without provoking opportunity attacks, it just depends on the situation. Generally, I don't think it's going to make too big of a deal, because you could get the mobile feat at level 1. So, and then I wanted to give you something a little bit extra. It's circumstantial. 90% of the time, if you're playing a wizard, what's generally called the correct way, you won't ever need to expend hit dice. So, moving on. Guardian at Death's Gate. At 6th level, you have begun to test the boundaries of life and death, and you can ward a soul from leaving its vessel. You can learn the spells Revivify and Spare the Dying as wizard spells. Now, to preface that, they are wizard spells, which means that you still need to prepare them, so they are not automatically known, or they're automatically known, but they're not always prepared, so, well, Spare the Dying is a cantrip, but Revivify, you will still need the material component, you'll still need to actually prepare it, and if you fail to do that, then I like to compare it to the 6th level ability of Necromancer, where you're getting Animate Dead, which is another 3rd level spell, which they're both 3rd level, so it's fair. But Revivify is in the moment. You need to do that, or it's useless. Spare the Dying was to sort of combat that a little bit. It's a cantrip. It's not going to do too much, and it's still going to be your action in order to cast it to save one of your allies. But thematically, I thought these two spells, while it's quite taboo for a wizard to have any sort of revive or healing magic, these two spells really, I think, fit the theme of being able to control souls and create Soulmancy as more of a school of magic rather than just it's a practice of magic rather than something more very akin to Necromancer. Well, it's a close cousin. It's its own thing. You're not bringing people. You're bringing people back from the dead, but you're not dementing them, pretty much. Whew, I need to learn how to speak. So, moving on, going to Empowered Soul. That's at 10th level. You gain expertise with soul magic, and it's allowed you to uncover a way to draw more power from your own soul. As a bonus action on your turn, you may choose to increase your spell save DC and armor class by 1 point for 1 minute. Additionally, you may choose to push your mortal limits, causing both your spell save DC and armor class to increase by a maximum equal to your proficiency bonus when you use this feature. Broken, right? At the end of the duration, you suffer an amount of exhaustion levels equal to the additional bonuses to your spell save DC and armor class. These levels may only be reduced over a long rest, so sorry clerics with greater restoration. Once you have used this ability, you can only do so again after a long rest. So, essentially, I was thinking of Guy Sensei a little bit, drew a little bit of inspiration there, but I really wanted to focus on the idea of first 2 levels, you're manipulating other people's souls. At this point in the game, your character should certainly realize, at the very least, the potential of their own soul. So, being able to tap into it for extra power. Souls are like batteries, if you really want to think about it that way. Because that's why they're coveted by devils and angels so much. And so, say you were to use it once, get 1 point, so your spell save DC goes up by 1, your armor class goes up by 1. For a 10th level ability, it's kind of underpowered, whatever. But being able to increase it up to your proficiency bonus, so at 20th level, you're going up to a total of a +7 to your spell save DC and armor class, which is a lot. But most campaigns, A, don't make it to level 20. B, level 20, they should be fighting Vecna or like 3 Tarasques at the same time. If we're really going for how most campaigns end, at least in my experience. But then again, my experience, I've run 2 homebrew campaigns and we've had a blast the whole time. And I would so much rather have the power level be jacked up, because as a DM, I can always jack the power up of the enemies just as much. So everyone's having fun rather than everyone's underpowered and it's always a slog. So there is potential of killing yourself, at the very least, and inebriating yourself for the next couple days. But if it's a boss battle that means a lot, I would recommend just go balls in. So, segueing into the 14th level ability, Soulmancer, or Soul Siphon, Jesus Christ. At 14th level, you've devised a way to capture and use the souls of others as a power source. When you reach this level, you have created a Soul Siphon, which is pretty much a battery pack. Whenever a creature dies within 30 feet of you, excluding constructs and undead, because they don't have souls, you may use your reaction to catch its soul. Your siphon then gains a number of charges equal to their challenge rating, rounded up, or the level of the creature if it had class levels. So if you were a douchebag, killed your teammate, well, you got a couple charges. I don't recommend doing that. Please don't. That's not good playing. So, as an action on your turn, you can then choose to cast any spell you have prepared using the Soul Siphon as a power source. Instead of expending a spell slot, the siphon loses a number of charges equal to the spell level. You may cast a spell this way up to a level of which you have spell slots, using your spell attack and save DC. So that does combo a little bit with Empowered Soul, so you could potentially get 1 or 2 really powerful spells out of this using Empowered Soul, which is possible. But then again, at 14th level, my characters right now are about to fight a demigod. So at least in my experience, 14th level abilities and up should be just ridiculous. I'm disappointed with the Bard, I'm disappointed with the Warlock's 20th, almost all classes 20th level abilities. So, you may hold only 1 soul at a time, balance issues of course, but you may release a soul as a free action in your turn. Doesn't matter how many times you tapped into it, how many charges you have left, you can expend them. You can create a Soul Siphon over the course of 8 hours using 1,000 gold pieces worth of supplies. You can create a new Soul Siphon, but the previous one ceases to function. Balance issues. Obviously, even for me, it would be too much to be running around with 6 or 7 of these, each party member running around with this. So you can justify that in a couple different ways, as in maybe you tie it to your own soul, and as when you create it, if you have another one, it shifts that bond to the new one. That way, only a trained Soulmancer can use these, and it's somewhat legit with the explanation. So, moving down a little bit, I'm not going to go over these too much. They are in the PDF on DM's Guild. It's selling fairly well. I would love the support, because the more support I get, the more content I get to create for not only new viewers, and hopefully this channel kind of blows up, and also more content for my players to enjoy and beta test with me. So ultimately, end goal is I want to be creating content for the rest of my life. That would be fantastic and all that, but I can only dream. So until now, I'm just going to be generating this on the side, creating these reviews. Maybe every now and then I'll create a little bit of a side video to go over news with Dungeons & Dragons, tabletop gaming, or just anything really in the nerd community. But I hope to get my name out there. Thank you very much for listening all the way through, and thank you.